Good afternoon, everyone. According to our computer screens in front of us, it's 2 o'clock. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'm Chair Scott Jibb, and we do have quorum, and we have all committee members with us today. And we are in the presence of several staff members, including our Secretary Treasurer. 2 o'clock, we start. Land Acknowledgement Statement. Township of Hamilton is situated within the traditional territory of the Mississauga, Anishinaabe, and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Our work on these lands respectfully acknowledges their resilience and their long-lasting contributions to the area now known as the Township of Hamilton. If you look on the agenda, we would normally go to the explanation of today's process, but I want to deviate already. And I want to introduce and welcome Marnie Saunders with us today. Marnie is a new staff person with us in the planning department and has been with us 3 weeks now. So welcome, Marnie. And for those of you who know me quite well, just wait until I finish this next sentence, okay? Marnie comes with a history from consulting with consulting firms for engineering, planning, and environmental. And again, you people know how I feel about consulting firms. So I'm pleased you're here. You've come to the good side of things, Marnie. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your time here. Going back to the agenda, the explanation of process of the hearing today. Please, Jennifer.
Through you, Chairman. The applications today will be announced, and they'll go in the order that they appear on the agenda. That's with minor variances first, followed by the consent application. We have 5 applications for minor variances and 1 consent application. In reviewing each application, I will provide an overview of each application. The meeting will then be opened up to the public for comments or questions. We request that you provide your name and address for the record. And we will first hear from those in support of an application, followed by those in opposition to an application, followed by those seeking clarification, and then finally the applicant. All questions must be addressed through the chairperson. If you'd like to receive a copy of the notice of decision for each application, there's a registration sheet at the back on the lectern. Please provide your name, address, email address, and which application you'd like to receive a copy of the notice of decision for.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is confirmation of the agenda itself. Prepared motion reads that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on July 14th, 2026 be approved. A move and a seconder, please. Moved by Bruce, seconded by Mark. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 5, declarations of pecuniary interest. Are there any to be declared today? Seeing none, that will be recorded. Item 6, regarding the approval of our previous meeting minutes. Prepared motion reads that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on June 9th, 2026 be approved. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by John, seconded by Larry. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And there is no business arising from those previous minutes. We're now on to the first minor variance application, and it is regarding a request for variance at 3942 Kennedy Road, being part lot 23, concession 5. And forgive me, I do not know the applicants in this particular case, so we'll be reaching out to you in a minute if you're present with us. Jennifer, if you would, please, the report.
Certainly, through you, Chairman Jibb. This is an application for minor variance, application A0526 for a property located at 1342 Kennedy Road in part lot 23, concession 5. The variance, the applicants are requesting approval to permit an accessory building or an accessory structure, which is a detached garage, closer to the road, main permitted principal dwelling. It's a front setback of 13.1 meters. The 0.7 hectare subject property is located on the west side of Kennedy Road and is developed with detached dwelling. The slopes west and predominantly cleared with mature trees along the western, which is the rear property line, and the northern property line. Surrounding land uses include rural residential lot on the west side of Kennedy Road, which are developed single detached dwellings, and large rural properties, some which are under active agricultural cultivation. There's a large forested area west of the subject property with water course flowing through that area. Woodland has been identified in the Northumberland County official plan as a regionally significant woodland. There is as a significant woodland, and there is a regionally significant wetland located within that woodland feature. The property is designated rural in the township's official plan. Section 2.5 of the provincial policy plan statement contains policies pertaining specifically to rural areas. Residential uses are permitted within rural areas, provided they can exist on a lot with an area sufficient to provide the services, water and sewer requisite for the dwelling. The 0.75 hectare lot was created by consent a couple of years ago and has been built with a single detached dwelling, which is served by private water and septic services. Section 4.1 PPS contains policies regarding the protection of natural heritage resources. The woodland area located to the rear of the subject property has been identified as a significant woodland. An environmental impact study was not required as the proposed garage is located approximately 50 meters from that woodland, and the dwelling house is actually located closer to the woodland than the proposed detached garage. Section 5.2 of the PPS contains policies addressing development in natural hazard areas. Alaska Region Conservation Authority has confirmed that there are no natural heritage hazard areas on the property. Compliance with MDS minimum distance separation guidelines is mandated by both the provincial planning statement and the township's official plan. An MDS calculation was provided for the application as no new sensitive land use is proposed, and an MDS calculation was undertaken during the lot creation process. So the proposed variance is consistent with the policies contained in the provincial planning statement. The property is not located on the Oak Ridges Marine and is not subject to the policies of the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan. The Cumberland County official plan designates this area as rural areas, and residential uses are permitted on lots with rural area. As noted earlier, Northumberland County Heritage System mapping in their official plan identifies a significant land on the adjacent property, but an EIS or environmental impact study was required. The subject property is designated rural in the township's official plan. In the rural designation, residential use are permitted. The proposed accessory use is accepted to the existing permitted residential use permitted by the policies also. The township's plan contains 4 tests that are outlined in the Planning Act, and the 4 tests for evaluating the minor variance. Variances must be minor, they must be desirable and appropriate for the development of the land, must maintain the general intent of the and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and must maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. Section 5.2 of the zoning bylaw permits an accessory building, buildings on properties, but requires them to be located behind the principal residential dwelling on residential lots. In this case, the applicants are proposing to construct the lot closer to the garage closer to the street than the principal dwelling, which why they have applied for its variance. The detached garage will be set back 13.1 meters from Kennedy Road. The main dwelling is located 23.77 meters from Kennedy Road. The proposed garage will be located on a cleared plateau adjacent to the existing driveway. And when we consider whether a variance is minor or desirable, the focus is generally on the impact of the variance. In this case, the proposed variance will permit the construction of the detached garage closer to the road. The most impacted neighboring property would be the property to the north, and their dwelling located on property. The dwelling is located very close to the road, if not encroaching on county road. So the new structure and proposed garage is back further from that house and will be screened from that house by some vegetation between the two properties, the common property line. So potential impact on the adjacent property is very limited. Adjacent property is very limited. The official plan also contains policies requiring the protection of natural heritage resources. As I discussed earlier, an environmental impact study was not required because the proposed structure will be located more than 50 meters from the designated feature. So staff have concluded that the requested variance is consistent with the Town of Hamilton official plan, permits residential use and uses accessory to the principal use on lands within the rural designation. The property is zoned rural residential on Schedule A, the township's official plan, zoning bylaw. The rural residential permits a single detached dwelling and accessory uses. Section 5.1.2 of the zoning bylaw states that the accessory buildings and structures in residential zone shall be located closer to the road than the principal dwelling. The applicant are proposing to construct the garage with a 13.1 meter setback from Kent Road, which is closer to the existing dwelling. The location of the proposed garage will not have an impact on surrounding uses. The closest residential use is located approximately 40 meters north and will be shielded by mature vegetation. The requested variance maintains the intent of the township zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to a number of agencies as required by the Planning Act. GRCA, Nebraska Region Conservation Authority, commented that no objection. Northumberland County Planning comments about the land and noted that an IS or environmental impact study might be required. Staff determined that it wasn't required. Building Department, Public Works Department, and Fire Departments all have objection. Notice of the application was circulated to all registered landowners with 60 meters of the subject property on June 30th, 2026, and a sign was posted on June 23rd, 2026. No public comment has been received to date. So the recommendation is that the application be approved. Reviewing the 4 tests for the minor variance. The first test is the variance minor? It was determined that it is minor as there's no impact on adjacent properties. The proposed detached dwelling located 40 meters closest dwelling, which is screened from the new structure by mature trees and vegetation. The variance desirable, appropriate for the land. The variance will facilitate the construction of a detached garage on a large rural residential property, which is developed with a single detached dwelling. This type of accessory structure is common on large rural residential lots. General intent of the Town of Hamilton official plan has been maintained. Residential uses, accessory uses are permitted on the property. And the general intent of township zoning bylaw has been maintained. The proposed property is zoned rural residential, which permit single detached dwelling and accessory uses. So the recommendation is that the application be approved. I don't see applicants here today, but if I'm wrong, please raise your hand, but I don't think I am.
Let's just do that officially again. Is our applicant or agent on this application with us today? Apparently not. You're right. We will turn to the audience. Is there anyone here in support of this application? Is there anyone here seeking clarification on the application? Is there anyone here in opposition to this application? Seeing none, we'll go to committee members. Any question from committee members? That being the case, the planning report states approval or directs approval. John, are you wanting to make that a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the 4 tests. The minor variance is consistent with the contained within the provincial plan statement. Contains the Township of Hamilton North official plans. Township of Hamilton's.
Thank you, John. Seconder, Mark. Any questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We'll move on to our next application, again, a minor variance. It's located at 8309 Oak Ridges Drive, being part lot 20, concession 7, and it's in the Levant name. Jennifer, if you would, please, planning report.
Certainly, through you, Chairman Gibb. This is my bifocals don't like that. Okay, this is an application for a minor variance for a property located at 8309 Oak Ridges Drive. The property is located on the south side of Oak Ridges Drive. The property is developed with a single detached dwelling and a detached garage. The application is for a minor variance to permit an accessory structure, which is the detached garage, closer to the road than the principal dwelling, along with a decreased front setback for a front porch addition on an existing single detached dwelling. The porch addition and the detached garage were both constructed without permits. So the existing, according to the information provided by the applicant, the detached garage was constructed 6 meters from the front lot line. In reviewing the available information, we've determined that it is actually set back approximately 12 meters from the front lot line, not the 6 meters that was indicated in the application. So it's a 3.09 hectare subject property, as I mentioned, located on the south side of Oak Ridges Drive, which is County Road 9, and is developed with the single detached dwelling and detached garage. Much of the property is forested and the buildings are not visible from the road. Surrounding land uses are large, actively cultivated agricultural properties. The property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine, and in the Schedule B to the Township of Hamilton official plan, the property is identified as an agricultural property, and for that reason, Section 4.3 of the PPS in particular pertains to this property. The provincial planning statement does allow for residential development on lots within the agricultural area. I'll just say as an aside, lot creation in the agricultural area is generally prohibited, but in this case, we're dealing with a minor variance application. Section 4.1 of the PPS contains policies regarding the protection of natural heritage resources, and Schedule B to the Township's official plan, key natural heritage features, identifies a small significant woodland in the northwest corner of the property. Northumberland County Natural Heritage mapping does not contain that same natural heritage feature. An environmental impact assessment was not required for this application. The structure has already been constructed. Section 5.2 of the PPS contains policies addressing development in natural hazard areas to ensure development is directed outside of such areas. GRCA, or Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority, commented that the subject property is not regulated by GRCA and there's no natural heritage hazard areas on the property. Compliance with the minimum distance separation guideline is mandated with the PPS. An MDS calculation was not prepared for this application because no new sensitive land use was created. The Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. This property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine and is subject to the policies of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. Residential development is permitted on existing lots of record on the Oak Ridges Moraine, and uses accessory to the principal residential use are also permitted. Northumberland County official plan designates the area as Oak Ridges Moraine, and a range of agricultural uses are permitted, including a single detached dwelling and accessory uses. The Hamilton Township's official plan designates the property Oak Ridges Moraine linkage. A variety of uses are permitted in the land uses are permitted in the Oak Ridges Moraine linkage designation, including residential uses and uses accessory to the residential use. The official plan sets out the 4 tests for a minor variance. It must be minor. The variance must be desirable and appropriate for the development or use of the land. Variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and the variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The detached garage is set back 12 meters, and the existing dwelling with the front porch addition is located 18 meters from the front lot line, where the township zoning bylaw requires a 20-meter setback for both structures. In considering whether a variance is minor or desirable, the focus is on the impact of the variance. In this case, the proposed variances will recognize an existing structure constructed without a permit and an addition to an existing dwelling also constructed without a permit. There are no neighboring uses that will be impacted by the reduced setbacks, and the structures are not visible from the county road. Northumberland County commented that a setback permit is required to ensure a 30-meter setback from the painted center line of County Road 9. Based on aerial photography, the structure appears to be 42 meters from the center line of County Road 9. The requested variance is consistent with the Hamilton Township official plan, which permits residential uses and uses accessory to the principal use. The township zoning bylaw zones this property Oak Ridges Marine Linkage and Oak Ridges Marine Environmental. The existing residential use is permitted. And the zone provisions that apply to the property are the zone provisions identified on Schedule M to the official or to the zoning bylaw. And in this case, those are the permanent agricultural zone provisions, which require a 20-meter setback from the front property line. And I am going to take a step back here because I was incorrect when I said we were varying section 5.1.2 of the zoning bylaw, because this property is actually in the agricultural, the provisions of the agricultural zone apply, and our zoning bylaw does allow for dwelling or accessory structures in the agricultural area, which means the agricultural or rural zones, to be located closer to the road than the principal dwelling. So you'll notice in the recommendations that I am not recommending a variance that allows for a accessory structure closer to the road than the principal dwelling, even though I believe at the beginning of my spiel, I said we were doing that variance. We're not doing that variance in this case. So the application was circulated to the agencies as required. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority had no objection. Northumberland County commented that they would require a setback permit to ensure 30 meters from the center line, painted center line of County Road 9. County Inspection Services commented that a septic review has not been undertaken to assess the loading needs of the proposed addition, and that the applicant should contact the county's Inspection Services Division. Northumberland County had no objection. Hamilton Township Building Department had no objections or concerns to the application. The building department further commented that construction of the detached garage, side porch, and front porch were all completed without permit applications or approval. If the variants are granted, engineering will be required and all permit fees will be doubled as per the Township of Hamilton building bylaw. If the variance is denied, orders will be placed on the property for removal of all unpermitted construction. Hamilton Township Public Works Department had no objection to this as the property fronts on a county road, and Hamilton Township Fire Services has no objection to the application. Notice of the application was circulated to all registered landowners within 60 meters of the subject property on June 30th, 2026, and a sign was posted on the property on June 25th, 2026. No public comments have been received to date. So in reviewing the 4 tests for the minor variance, and the first test, is it minor? There's no impact on adjacent properties. The surrounding properties are actively cultivated and there are no residential dwellings in close proximity to the subject property. The buildings are also screened from the county road by mature vegetation. Is the variance desirable and appropriate for the land? The proposed variance will permit the existing detached garage along with the single detached dwelling, which has been extended with a porch addition. Residential uses are permitted on existing lots of record on the Oak Ridges Marine. Has the general intent of the township's official plan been maintained? Well, the township's official plan permits residential development on this property. And the general intent of the Hamilton Township zoning bylaw has been maintained because a single detached dwelling and accessory uses are permitted, albeit with this zoning bylaw, minor variance is requesting a reduced setback of 12 meters for the existing garage and 18 meters for the single detached dwelling.
Thank you, Jennifer. Is there an applicant with us today? We'll be back to you in a moment and you'll have an opportunity to speak. Going to the audience, is there anyone here other than the applicant in support of the application? Is there anyone present wishing clarification on the application? Is there anyone in opposition to the application? Seeing none. Coming back to you, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing the name right, Lavon? Lavon, would you like to speak to the application or would you like to just answer questions if they materialize from the committee members? Thank you. Well, I certainly have questions. Would any other committee member like to go first? Based on your comment, you had Red Seal people involved. You had professionals. I think they missed a step. I think you missed a step. What's the principal reason why you did not obtain the appropriate approvals before you commenced? Because you're here asking for forgiveness, not approval. That puts your projects at risk, including demolition at risk. I don't know why people do that. You have no protection from the regulations, through the regulations, for the regulations, when you don't have the courtesy to come to our municipal office and seek out what the rules are. Now you're before the committee looking at approvals, special approvals for your property. I don't understand that. I don't know why people do that. This committee could turn this down. Are both projects, actually 3 projects from what I understand, porch, and storage building, are they 100% complete? How long ago did you build? You've had 5 years to get here? I'm sorry, sir, but I find that very frustrating. Maybe it's my background coming out. You certainly should know better. You have seen properties fail closing because of that. So what you're saying is you know better. It's what I hear you saying, you know better. I find it very frustrating. Anyway, any other questions from committee members? What would you like to do? We're down to 1 component variance. We're down to front yard setback for porch, 18 meters, and the other ones, we say 12. By the way, where's the site plan with details on it for this one? I didn't get one.
The sketch provided by the applicant wasn't very detailed, so I didn't include it in the report, and the numbers that he provided didn't gel until I looked a little closer online. And it was
the confusion between 6 meters
and 12 meters. That's correct.
Well, committee, it's up to yourselves. Larry, question?
Well, the question I would have is, understanding the situation, should we not defer this until all the obligations are complete with the county and the Township of Hamilton Building Department, that all fees be paid before we approve this variance? Is that possible that we can do that?
We'll certainly send that to staff. Jennifer, would you like to commence?
So if I'm understanding correctly, you're asking that he obtain a setback permit from the county prior to approval by the Committee of Adjustment and satisfy, the problem I believe with the building permit issues is that the building department can't issue a permit that doesn't comply with the zoning bylaw. So the variance would have to be approved prior to them getting him getting a building permit. Because the zoning bylaw is what they call applicable law under the building code. So they can't issue a building permit until the structures comply with the zoning bylaw.
Larry, could I just follow up and piggyback on that, man, just before you speak again? If these projects didn't exist, we all know better. These projects didn't exist, the common practice, and I'll turn to staff, would be setback permit, letter of approval from the county saying the septic system's not going to be impacted. And then we would issue a site plan, or sorry, we would issue a building permit. Could you put some clarity to that, Mr. Dronimus, for process? As if the buildings weren't there.
There we go. Chair Jib and members of the committee, yes, we in the building department would be the last stop. So all of the other elements would need to be approved from the other agencies prior to us doing our permit. Site plan is part of our committee, so we do that in approval in-house. We would be reviewing a site plan that needs to be accurate. Setback permit is a component, and yes, ensuring that it's not in close proximity to the septic system would be another confirmation that we'd need to receive from the county.
Larry, I believe you were going to have a follow-up?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Well, it seems like the horse is out of the barn already. And it's too bad because you're setting a precedent for other people to do what you have already acknowledged that you know of other properties that are in the same condition. Well, I don't need it now, but I'm just saying.
We're simply dealing with your application today and how we're going to maneuver through that approval or denial. What other people have done out there is not before us at this point in time.
So I guess what we can do now is we just approve this minor variance. As its request is consistent with the policies contained in the provincial planning statement in the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation, maintains the intent of the Township of Hamilton, Northumberland County official plans and the Township of Hamilton zoning bylaws, but the applicant will have to follow up with the county inspection services to get those approvals and follow up then with the Hamilton Township Building Department as stated in the report. I guess there's no other way we go about it.
No, and what's really happening is we can grant approval for the variance for location. Doesn't ensure that a building permit's going to be available because of those county conditions that are required in the process prior to the permit. So this building is still at risk until the building permit has been issued and the appropriate reviews have been satisfied. Larry, are you making that a motion? I didn't hear the word "I'll move."
Yes, I'm making this a motion at this time.
Okay, seconded by Mark. Any other questions or comments? I guess I'll turn to staff. Are we clear with our decision?
I believe what I have heard is it's moved by Larry, seconded by Mark, that the application be approved. And you'll provide me with the reasons once council or committee makes the decisions, or I can help you with some wording after they make the decision.
You may need, after the vote, you may need
Yes.
help on this one. Let's go to the vote. All those in favor? Okay, it is carried. Although I point out not unanimously, and understandably so. Larry, have you got the reasons you'd like to verbalize, or would you like staff to help a bit with that? Is we okay there, Jennifer? Or would you like anything added?
No, I think we're fine with that. Thank you.
And Red, are you good with that as a seconder, Mark? Okay. It's been moved, it's been seconded, we got the reasons. We have you working on some things differently in the future, I trust. So thank you for being here with us today. We'll move on to the next application, which is the one that's a deferred, I believe. And it's minor variance 07-26. And it's going to be at 8007 Tates Beach Road. And am I correct? That's the deferred application. Or am I wrong?
Through you, Chairman Jib, you are correct. And Marnie is going to provide an overview of this application.
Okay, so Marnie, welcome again. I'm sure you know the red line has to be on the microphone.
I believe Tim left it on for me.
Okay, we're in good shape.
Thank you. Through Chairman Jib and to the committee. Item number 8.3 on today's agenda is a minor variance application for 8007 Tates Beach Road. The applicant has applied for 4 variances on the property. The requested variances are to permit accessory building and structure located closer to the front property line than the principal dwelling. The second variance is to allow for a reduced side yard setback for one of those accessory structures. Third variance requested is for a reduced front yard setback to one of those accessory structures. And the final requested variance is to recognize a reduced rear yard setback to the existing to the existing principal dwelling on the subject property where a 10-meter setback is existing and a 20-meter setback is actually required. The subject property contains an existing single detached dwelling, a detached garage, a swimming pool, and is serviced by a private well and septic system. Based on the location of the existing dwelling, relief is required to permit the proposed accessory structure and swimming pool closer to the street line than the existing principal dwelling. A reduced interior setback is also being requested to accommodate the proposed accessory structure, and a reduced interior side yard setback is also being requested to accommodate the proposed accessory structure. The proposed swimming pool will have a front yard setback of 28 meters and will meet all other applicable setback requirements under the zoning bylaw. And finally, the reduced rear yard setback is also being requested to address a deficient rear yard setback to the existing principal dwelling on the subject property. A copy of the applicant's variance sketch is attached to the report as attachment A. The subject property is located on the south side of Tates Beach Road and on the southern shoreline of Rice Lake. The subject property has an area of 2,760 square meters with 45 meters of frontage on Tates Beach Road, which is a year-round municipally maintained road. The subject property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine and is subject to the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. The property is designated Oak Ridges Moraine Natural Linkage Area and Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside Area. While residential development is generally not permitted within the natural linkage area of the Oak Ridges Moraine, under Section 7 of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan states that nothing in the plan applies to prevent the use, erection, or location of a single detached dwelling if the use would have been permitted by the applicable zoning under the bylaw prior to the implementation of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. A review of the zoning bylaw in effect at the time prior to the implementation of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan confirmed that the property was zoned for rural residential, and therefore the residential use of the property is permitted. The proposed variances are therefore consistent with the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. Under the county official plan, the subject properties are designated Oak Ridges Moraine Natural Linkage Area and Natural Heritage Area 2. Residential uses, including single detached dwellings and accessory uses, are permitted on existing lots of record within the Oak Ridges Moraine. if they were permitted prior to the implementation of the plan. As previously stated, the lands were previously zoned for rural residential purposes, and therefore the proposed variances are also consistent with the Northumberland County official plan. The Township of Hamilton official plan designates the subject properties Oak Ridges Marine Natural Linkage Area and Oak Ridges Marine Countryside Area. The existing residential and accessory structures are permitted under the Oak Ridges Marine Natural Linkage designation. As previously mentioned, the lands were lawfully zoned for rural residential uses prior to the implementation of the Oak Ridges Marine Plan. The zoning bylaw of the zoning bylaw for the Township of Hamilton zones the subject properties Oak Ridges Marine Environmental on Schedule A. Permitted uses within the Oak Ridges Marine Environmental Zone includes single detached dwellings. Section 5.28 of the zoning bylaw states that notwithstanding any provisions of the bylaw, a single detached dwelling is a permitted use as a principal use on the lands identified as being zoned rural residential and as accessory structures on lands identified as rural residential on Schedule M to the zoning bylaw. As shown on Schedule M of the zoning bylaw, the subject property is identified as rural residential and is subject to the zoning provisions under Section 9 of the zoning bylaw. Section 5 of the zoning bylaw contains general provisions applicable to accessory structures which only permits accessory structures located further from the street line than the principal dwelling. Based on the location of the existing principal dwelling on the subject property, it is not possible to locate the proposed accessory structures further from the street line than the principal dwelling. And therefore, they cannot comply with Section 5.12 of the bylaw, which again states that accessory buildings and structures shall not be located closer to the street line than the principal dwelling on the building lot. So given the location of the existing dwelling, it's not possible for the proposed accessory structure and swimming pool to be located behind the principal dwelling. Further, the minimum required setback for the front and side yard setbacks for the proposed accessory building cannot be achieved due to the site topography and the constraining locations of non-level areas on the subject property. The applicant is applying for variances to sections 5.1.2A, 9.3.2B, and 9.3.3B of the zoning bylaw to permit the two accessory structures located closer to the street line of the principal dwelling with a reduced front yard setback of 1.2 meters and a reduced interior side yard setback of 0.6 meters for the proposed accessory building. And finally, a reduced rear yard setback of 10 meters for the principal dwelling. The application was circulated to the following agencies: the Ganaraska Conservation Authority, the Township of Hamilton Public Works Department, Roads Department, Building Department, Emergency Services, and the Northumberland County and Hydro One. The Ganaraska Conservation Authority commented the subject property is located out of the GRCA regulated areas and therefore a permit is not required. The Northumberland County Planning Department commented that there are significant woodlands on the southeastern portion of the subject property. However, a natural heritage evaluation has been completed for the subject property prior to the construction of the existing dwelling on the site and any site alteration. And the natural heritage evaluation concluded that the subject lands are not part of a significant woodland, and therefore development would not have a negative impact on the natural features or their ecological function. Northumberland County Public Works commented that they have no concerns that the development will not have any adverse impacts on any nearby county roads or infrastructure. The county's inspection services department also provided comments, and they commented that they require a 5-meter setback between the existing pool and the existing septic system, and requested that a site plan be updated to illustrate the separation distance between the pool and the septic system. The Township of Hamilton Building Department also provided comments on the application. They had comments regarding concerns around possible encroachment onto the adjacent properties, specifically with respect to retaining walls and some excavation and slope stability material that's been brought into the site. They also have concerns regarding the incomplete building inspections for the existing single detached dwelling on the site, as well as concerns regarding the septic bed and the contact area where it's being distributed, and insufficient details regarding the pool and associated landscaping construction without approval. The bylaw department also noted that they would be pursuing AMPS penalties for the lack of the pool enclosure or a fence around the pool. The Township of Hamilton Fire Department has no objections on the minor variance applications. And the Township of Roads Department did not provide comments prior to us preparing this report. However, since preparing this report, they have provided comments via email. And their comments note that the Roads Department does not support the specific requested variance for the reduced front yard setback for the accessory structure, which was requested as for a reduction to 1.2 meters, where a 20-meter setback is typically required. And the reasoning for this was due to the topography at this location being very steep with significant grades, and that the fact that in the future, the township may require additional property within the road allowance area for slope stabilization, retaining walls, or other infrastructure improvements necessary to maintain their roadway. And further, for those reasons, they do not support the requested variance for the reduced front yard setback of 1.2 meters. Leading up to preparing this application, we hadn't received any comments from public, so there was no comments from the public contained within the staff report. However, since issuing the staff report, we have received comments from one of the adjacent landowners. The adjacent landowner owns the lands directly northeast of the subject property, which is legally described as part of Lot 24 in Concession 9, and there's no municipal address for that property. The concerns from the adjacent landowner were pertaining to the stormwater drainage and runoff related to flooding around the property. Concerns regarding the ditch or lack of ditch along the frontage of the property and along Tate's Beach Road. The conditions of the driveway being eroded and beginning to be washed away, and concerns about where the pool will ultimately end up draining, given the steep topography of that site. The pool, while it is closer to the street line than the existing dwelling, it is at a much higher location on the site, which would ultimately end up likely draining towards the road as well. Those are all the comments that we have received from members of the public. So based on the information that we've received from the applicant so far and the comments that we've received on the application, it is recommended that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Hamilton enact as follows: that application A07-26 by Imran Mohammed for the property located at 8007 Tate's Beach Road, legally described as part of Lot 24, Concession 9, and Parts 1 and 2 of Registered Plan 39R 12918, be deferred pending the additional information to be provided by the applicant addressing the comments received from the Building Department, Roads Department, and the Northumberland County Inspection Services.
Thank you, Marnie.
I just want to provide clarification that the pool exists and it was constructed without a permit, or the pool enclosure permit wasn't issued, and that there are two structures that they're proposing variances for. One is the existing pool, and the second is for a boat storage building at the bottom of the hill. And that's the building that they're proposing, a 1.2 meter structure from the front lot line and a 0.6 meter setback from an interior side lot line. So there's two variances, or there's variances for two accessory structures, one of which exists.
Thank you, Jennifer. Is there an applicant with us today? Too bad. I was feeling good. Is there anyone here? Well, we're going to defer this, but I should ask the audience, is there anyone here other than the applicant who's obviously not with us about in support of the application? Anyone here seeking clarification? Is there anyone here in opposition? Obviously, the proposal needs some work by the applicant with various different agencies and departments and considerations that aren't available to us today, and hence the suggestion of deferral. Coming to committee members, does anyone have a question at this point in time? Okay, so the motion obviously is for deferral. Would someone be moved by Mark, second by Larry? Any further or any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Yeah, I assume we don't need this, reasons for a deferral. Okay, moving on. To the Buedler minor variance, spec and Hickey, A0826. And I can't see the address quickly, but I was there earlier today and should know it. Beach Street, 7051 Beach Street. Jennifer, report if you would, please. Or is this Marnie again? Marnie.
Thank you, and through Chairman Jib and to members of committee. The item 8.4 on today's agenda is an application for a minor variance. The requested minor variance would permit a reduced front yard setback of 1.9 meters and a reduced interior side yard setback of 1.6 meters to the single detached dwelling on the subject property. The reason for the required variances is to permit or to accommodate for a renovation to the existing detached dwelling. The renovations include a new front porch and a two-story addition to the existing dwelling. Subject property currently contains an existing single detached dwelling, an accessory shed, and a private septic system. Based on the location of the existing structure, reduced setbacks are required to accommodate the proposed porch and two-story addition to the existing single detached dwelling. The proposed porch will be located on the north side of the existing dwelling, and it will maintain the existing front yard setback from the front property line to the existing deck and steps. So there's an existing wooden deck on the front of the single detached dwelling, and the new porch will replace that existing wooden deck, not in the exact same location, but it will maintain the same 1.9 meter setback. So it's effectively going to be shifted slightly west where the building is on a bit of an angle. So it will still maintain that existing 1.9 meter setback. The second variance requested is for a reduced interior side yard setback of 1.6 meters, and that is to accommodate the proposed addition to the existing single detached dwelling. The subject property has frontage on the south side of Beach Street between Boundary Road and Main Street, and is located within the rural settlement area of Bewdley. The subject property has an approximate area of 650 square meters with 22.3 meters of frontage on Beach Street. The surrounding land uses are predominantly residential, and there are several tourist establishments and hamlet commercial uses located along the Rice Lake shoreline. In reviewing the provincial planning statement, it was determined that the subject property is designated rural settlement area on Schedule A of the Township Official Plan, and as such is subject to policies of Section 2.3 within the provincial planning statement, which speak to settlement areas being the intended area for growth and development within the municipality. The proposed variance will have no impact on the development framework of the general settlement area, which permits residential land uses. Section 4.1 of the provincial planning statement contains policies regarding the protection of natural heritage features. Provincially significant wetlands are located approximately 800 meters east and north of the subject property. The subject property is located outside the area of influence for those PSWs, and therefore there'll be no impact to the natural heritage features as a result of the proposed variances. The proposed variances will facilitate the construction of the two-story addition and a new front porch on the existing residential dwelling and are consistent with the policies contained within the provincial planning statement, which could encourage residential development in designated settlement areas. A review of the Oak Ridges Moraine policy determined that the subject property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine and is subject to the policies of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. These policies recognize existing residential uses in designated settlement areas, and the proposed minor variances are consistent with the policies of the Oak Ridges Marine Plan. The Northumberland County official plan designates the subject property rural settlement area. Residential uses and accessory uses to residential uses are permitted within the rural settlement area designated lands, and the proposed variances are therefore consistent with the county official plan. The Township of Hamilton official plan designates the property rural settlement. Settlement areas are the intended area for concentrated residential, commercial, and community facility growth within the township. Section 2.24C of the official plan states that in addition to modest residential growth, Bewdley, Gores Landing, and Harwood will also be the focus of tourism and recreational activity. Therefore, the permitted uses in the settlement area include residential and accessory uses, and the proposed variances are consistent with the Township of Hamilton official plan. The Township of Hamilton official plan and the Planning Act set out 4 tests for evaluating minor variance applications. These 4 tests are that the variances must be minor, the variance must be desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, the variances must maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and the variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. Given the location of the existing dwelling, it's not possible for the new front porch and the proposed two-story addition to meet the required setbacks. The applicant is applying for variances to sections 13.3.2A of the zoning bylaw to recognize a minimum front yard setback of 1.9 meters between the front property line and the proposed porch instead of the normally required 10 meters. And again, that 1.9 meter setback is already an established setback to the front porch. We're simply recognizing that because another variance is required on the property at the same time. And the other variance is for reduced interior side yard setback of 1.6 meters for the proposed addition to the existing single detached dwelling instead of the normally required 3 meters. Based on the location of the existing dwelling, the proposed porch cannot comply with the required setbacks. The existing wooden structure is located 1.9 meters from the front lot line and is a legal non-compliant structure as permitted by the zoning bylaw. This setback will be maintained for the proposed porch. There will be no impact on the surrounding land uses in allowing the porch addition to maintain this existing front yard setback. A variance to the interior side yard setback to the west has also been requested to permit a reduced interior side yard setback of 1.6 meters instead of the normally required 3 meters. This variance is required to accommodate the proposed two-story addition to the existing dwelling. The impact on the adjacent lands to the west should be minimal as the existing dwelling on the property to the west is set back approximately 4.5 meters from the shared property line, and the proposed addition meets the maximum permitted height and coverage under the urban residential first density zone for the subject property. In considering whether or not the variance is minor or desirable, the property most impacted by the reduced interior side yard setback is the property directly to the west of the subject property, and the impact on that property is minimized by the separation distance between the proposed addition on the subject property and the location of the existing dwelling on the adjacent lot to the west. The location of the proposed porch will not be any closer to Beach Street than the existing wooden deck to be removed and will have no impact on the surrounding uses as the existing reduced setback of 1.9 meters will be maintained. The proposed variances therefore maintain the intent of the township official plan. The subject property is zoned urban residential first density on Schedule A of the township zoning bylaw. A single detached dwelling use and accessory buildings to the residential use are permitted under the UR1 zone. The proposed new porch will be located 1.9 meters from Beach Street. This front setback does not meet the 10-meter setback requirement for the principal dwelling. There will be no impact on the surrounding uses because the proposed porch will maintain the existing front yard setback as the existing wooden deck and stairs. Finally, the urban residential 1 zone requires a 3-meter interior side yard setback for principal dwellings. The applicant is applying for a 1.6 meter interior side yard setback from the west. As discussed earlier, this variance is required to facilitate the construction of the new addition. And the impact of the reduced interior side yard will be limited due to the separation between the new structures and the existing dwelling on the adjacent property. This setback will total 6 meters in total between the new addition and the existing structure. While the addition to the existing dwelling does require a reduced interior side yard setback, there will be no significant impact on the surrounding uses, as the existing dwelling is already set back 4.5 meters from the shared property line. And therefore, the requested variance maintains the intent of the township zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to Ganaraska Conservation Authority, who commented that the subject lands are not regulated by the authority, and the GRCA has no additional comments or concerns regarding the minor variances. It was also circulated to Northumberland County, who also did not have any concerns or objections on the applications. The applications were also circulated to the Township of Hamilton Building Department, Public Works Department, Fire Department, and Roads Department, all of which had no comments or concerns or objections to the minor variance applications. Finally, public circulation took place on June 24th, when the application was circulated to all registered owners within 30 meters of the subject property. It was also posted on the subject property on June 29th, 2026, and no public comments have been received to date at this time. The variances to section 13.3.2A and C of the zoning bylaw will allow for a reduced front yard setback to the principal dwelling to accommodate the proposed porch, and a reduced interior side yard setback to accommodate the proposed addition to the existing dwelling. In reviewing the application, the four tests for a minor variance have been considered, and it has been determined that the variances are minor, as there will be minimal impact on the adjacent properties. The reduced front yard setback will maintain the existing established front yard setback to the existing wooden deck of 1.9 meters, and the reduced interior side yard will allow for the structure to be constructed 1.4 meters closer to the western property line than is normally permitted, allowing a reduced interior side yard setback of 1.6 meters instead of the normally required 3 meters. This reduction will have a minimal impact on the property to the west, given the location of the existing dwelling on that subject property. The variance is desirable and appropriate for the land. The property is zoned urban residential first density, which permits single detached dwellings and accessory residential uses. The general intent of the township official plan has been maintained. The development of the property is located in a designated rural settlement area, and the official plan permits residential uses along with accessory residential uses within that designation. There are no natural heritage features that will be impacted by the proposed development. And finally, the general intent of these township zoning bylaw has been maintained. The requested variances are minor and will facilitate the construction of the proposed porch and a 2-story addition to the existing single detached dwelling on the developed lot. So finally, as recommended that the Committee of Adjustment enact as follows, that application A0826 by Brian Speck and Alicia Hickey for the property located at 7051 Beach Street, legally described as part of Lot 35, Concession 8, be approved, permitted the variance to Section 13.3A of the zoning bylaw to permit a reduced front yard setback of 1.9 meters for the proposed porch, and permitting a variance to Section 3.3.2C to permit a reduced interior setback west of 1.6 meters.
Thank you. Turning to our audience, is our applicant or agent with us? We will come back to you in a moment. Agent or applicant? Thank you. To the audience, anyone here other than owner, agent, in support of the application? Please, would you like to speak? Please, for at least for record, come to the microphone, tell us your address and your name, and if you would like to speak, feel free to do so.
I'm Brian Speck. I'm the owner of the residence at 7051 Beach Street.
Okay.
I don't have any additional comments at this time, I don't think.
Thank you. Any other one in the audience support? Anyone seeking clarification? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, To you as owner and to you as applicant or agent, would you like to speak, or we'll just see if there's any questions? Thank you. Committee members, Mark, questions?
Just a question, and maybe it's probably for Tim more than anyone. Dealing with the septic on this property, it says there's some deficiencies and so forth from Northumberland County that need to be worked out. Will those have to be worked out before this building permit is issued? I presume so, if that's it. I'm good then.
Just for the people in the audio, the response from our chief building official is, yes, those issues will have to be resolved before a building permit can be issued. Any follow-up questions? Any other questions? John, question?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The question I have is, the existing well that's there right now, will it have any effect? The new building will have any effect on that well? The
And who would
location
like,
of the well?
who would like to answer that question? Jennifer, you gonna try it?
I'll take a whirl. Through you, Chair Jib. This property shares a well with the adjacent property. There's a legal easement providing access to that well. And impact, I don't know, but they do have a legal right registered on title to use the well on the adjacent property.
Follow up, John, or you?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Would someone like to make a motion? Bruce? Approval?
Yes, I move we approve the application.
Okay, seconder? Mark? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Bruce, coming back to you for reasons, what was provided in the report?
Yeah, the variances are minor, the minimal impact. The variances are desirable and appropriate for the land, and the general intent of the Township of Hamilton official plan has been maintained.
Thank you, Bruce. Arnie, I believe this next application is yours, so maybe in future meetings, we can just get you to stay there rather than bouncing back and forth.
To Chairman Jib and to committee members, item 8.5 on today's agenda is a minor variance application for the lands located at 5269 Oriole Beach Road, Unit 100, which is legally described as Lot 1 of Registered Condominium Plan 435 and part of Lot 24 and Registered Condo Plan 435. The applicants are applying to replace an existing detached garage located on the subject property with a new accessory building with an increased permitted height for permitted under the zoning bylaw for an accessory structure. The subject property contains an existing seasonal dwelling, 2 detached garages, a boathouse, holding tank, and artesian well. One of the existing detached garages is proposed to be replaced by a new garage with an increased floor area and height. The proposed accessory building will meet all applicable zoning requirements with the exception of the maximum permitted height for an accessory building, where 5 meters is proposed and 4.5 meter maximum is permitted by the zoning bylaw. A copy of the applicant's variance sketch is attached to the report as attachment A. The subject property has a frontage on Oriole Beach Road and the southern shoreline of Rice Lake. It has an area of 3,822 square meters with a 15.5 meter frontage on Rice Lake and 15.1 meter frontage on Oriole Beach Road. The portion of Oriole Beach Road where the subject property has frontage is classified as a private road. The majority of the development along the private road in this area of Oriole Beach Road are waterfront seasonal dwellings on long, narrow lots, which are bisected by the private road and have development on both the north and south sides of Oriole Beach Road. The majority of development on the south side of Oriole Beach Road is in the form of accessory detached garages, similar to the proposed development of the subject property. The property is located west of Gore's Landing, a designated rural settlement area, and the surrounding uses are predominantly residential and rural, and there are several tourist establishments and hamlet commercial uses located on the Rice Lake shoreline. Portions of the subject property are regulated by the GRCA. However, a permit has been issued for the construction of the detached non-habitable garage within the regulated area on the subject property. A review of the provincial planning statement determined that the subject property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine and is designated Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside and Oak Ridges Moraine Natural Linkage Area on Schedule A of the official plan of the Township of Hamilton. On Schedule B to the Township official plan, key natural heritage features are shown on the are identified. Schedule B of the Township's official plan shows that the property is designated key natural heritage feature containing significant woodlands. Because the property is identified as a key natural heritage feature, the policies contained within Section 4.1 of the provincial planning statement in particular pertain to the property. Section 4.1.2 of the provincial planning statement provides that the long-term ecological function and biodiversity of the natural heritage system should be maintained, restored, and where possible, improved. Municipalities are required to identify and protect these natural heritage features, and development and site alteration shall not be permitted within significant woodlands. The proposed new detached garage will be located located outside of all areas identified as containing any key natural heritage features, including any significant woodlands on the subject property. The proposed variance is to facilitate the construction of a new detached garage with an increased maximum permitted height of 5 meters for an accessory structure, where only 4.5 meters is permitted by the bylaw. Therefore, the proposed variances are consistent with the provincial planning statement. The subject property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine and subject to policies of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. Residential development is permitted within certain parts of the countryside on the Oak Ridges Moraine, and in accordance with Section 14 of the plan, which only permits residential development outside of prime agricultural areas and areas designated primarily for agricultural uses. And therefore, the proposed minor variances are consistent with the policies of the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan, which permits new expansion of existing residential uses and development on lands within the county of Northumberland, with the exception of those of prime agricultural areas. The subject property is designated Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside in the county official plan on Schedule A2 land use designations, and is also designated on Schedule B1 natural heritage features as containing regionally important wetlands, significant woodlands, and enhancement areas. The proposed attached garage will replace the existing garage and is located in an area which is already disturbed, and the proposed development will not have any negative impacts or adverse impacts to the ecological integrity or the natural heritage features located on the property. The variance is therefore consistent with the policies of the Northumberland County official plan. The Township of Hamilton official plan designates the subject property countryside area, Oak Ridges Moraine, and natural linkage area, Oak Ridges Moraine. The proposed detached garage would be located on lands designated countryside area, Oak Ridges Moraine, and the purpose of the countryside area designation is to encourage and promote agricultural and other rural land uses, including but not limited to small scale, which includes but is not limited to existing residential land uses on existing lots of record. The township official plan permits existing land uses in the ORM in the Oak Ridges Moraine in accordance with the policies of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. As discussed above, the seasonal residential use of the subject property was a lawfully existing use prior to the implementation of the Oak Ridges Moraine Plan and therefore is permitted to continue. The proposed demolition and reconstruction of the attached garage is consistent with the Township of Hamilton's official plan, which permits residential and accessory uses in the Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside area designation. The Planning Act and the Township of Hamilton official plan set out 4 tests for evaluating minor variance applications. These 4 tests are that the variance must be minor, the variance must be desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, the variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and the variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The applicant is applying for a variance to section 10.3.3E of the Township zoning bylaw, permitting a maximum height of 5 meters for an accessory structure in a limited service residential zone where a maximum of only 4.5 meters is normally permitted. The variance is required to accommodate the proposed garage with an overhead garage door and a wall height of 14 feet 9 inches. There's no commercial operations permitted within the proposed detached garage, and it will strictly be used for residential personal use. In considering whether or not the variance is minor or desirable, the focus is generally on the impact of the variance. In this case, the proposed variance will permit the construction of a taller accessory building than is normally permitted by the township zoning bylaw. However, there will be no impact to the adjacent properties as the proposed garage will replace an existing detached garage building in the same location, and there should be limited impact on the adjacent properties from the proposed increase in building height, as the lands to the west of the subject property are currently vacant, and the lands immediately to the east of the property contain an accessory garage building of similar size, scale, and height of the proposed accessory building on the subject property. The official plan also contains policies regarding the protection of natural heritage features. A significant portion of the property has been identified as a significant woodland in the township official plan. A natural heritage evaluation was not required because the new accessory building will replace the existing detached garage in a disturbed area and outside of all identified natural heritage features identified on the property. The requested variance is consistent with the Township of Hamilton official plan, which permits residential uses and uses accessory to the principal use on the subject property. The subject property is zoned Oak Ridges Marine Countryside and Oak Ridges Marine Environmental on Schedule A of the Township of Hamilton zoning bylaw. The applicable zone provisions for the land zoned Oak Ridges Marine Countryside and Oak Ridges Marine Environmental are those identified on Schedule M to the zoning bylaw, which in this case is the limited service residential zone. An existing seasonal residential use and accessory uses are permitted within the limited service residential zone. Development on the subject property must comply with the limited service residential zone standards. Section 10.3.3E of the zoning bylaw limits the height of an accessory building in the limited service zone to 4.5 meters. The applicant has applied for a variance to this provision, allowing for a maximum building height of 5 meters. The increase is required to accommodate the proposed building wall height and an overhead garage door. Impact on the neighboring uses will be minimal as the proposed accessory structure will replace an existing garage in the same location on the subject property. The proposed attached garage will comply with all other provisions and requirements under the limited service residential zoning, including all setbacks and coverage requirements. The requested variance maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw as it will facilitate the construction of an accessory detached garage on a developed residential lot. Agencies that were circulated as part of the application include the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Area that confirmed that the proposed garage is appropriately set back from regulated features, and on that basis, they had no objection to the minor variance. Further, the staff have noted that the permit has been issued from the authority for the construction of the detached non-habitable garage within the regulated area. Northumberland County Public Works commented that they have no objections or concerns. Northumberland County Inspection Services has no objections. However, they did note that the applicant should ensure that the proposed garage maintains sufficient setbacks from any private septic system, well on the subject property and in accordance with the Ontario Building Code. The Township of Hamilton Building Department, Public Works Department, Fire Department, and Roads Department were all also circulated and all provided that they have no comments or concerns or objections with the proposed minor variances. Finally, the notice of application was circulated to all registered landowners within 60 meters of the subject property on June 24th, 2026, and a notice sign was posted on the subject property on June 24th, 2026. No comments have been received from the public to date on the application. With that said, it is recommended that the Committee of Adjustment enact as follows: that application A09-26 submitted by Mapbro Electric Limited for the property located at 5269 Oriole Beach Road, Unit 100, legally described as Lot 1, Registered Condominium Plan 435, part of Lot 24, Registered Condominium Plan 435, be approved permitting a variance to section 10.3.3E of the zoning bylaw to permit an increased height to the maximum height permitted for an accessory structure from 4.5 meters to a maximum of 5 meters.
Thank you, Marnie. And thank you for introducing the application because I neglected to do that. To the audience, is our owner applicant with us by chance? We'll come back to you in a minute if you wish to speak. Anyone here, obviously above and beyond the owner, in support of the application? Anyone seeking clarification? Anyone in opposition to the application? Coming back to you, would you like to speak to the application? Would you like me to just go to committee and see if there's questions? Go to committee members. Questions? None. Well, John, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Out of curiosity, this is not being built footprint of the other, which is existing. Sorry, Marty. Should we direct quick?
Through Chairman Gibb and to members of the committee, yes, it's going to replace the existing footprint. It's going to be enlarged a little bit, so it'll be slightly closer to Oriole Beach Road, but it's going to replace that existing footprint of that existing garage on the south side of Oriole Beach Road.
Thank you.
Jennifer, comment?
Sorry, I was the one that met with the applicant, so I'm just going to put another 2 cents in here. The applicant has indicated that it may not be exactly on the footprint of the existing structure. It will be located in that proximity, perhaps a little further back, and they may use that concrete pad as sort of a access or patio to a garage. I don't, anyways, but it's in that vicinity and it's not going to be located any closer to Oriole Beach Drive than the existing structure. Sorry, Marnie.
Any other questions? Just for the record, because we've had people showing interest here before council in the past. We use the word Oriole Beach and unit numbers to describe the properties east and west. It is not a municipally owned or maintained road. Oriole Beach Road ends at the T that we own and maintain. Any other questions or comments? Do we have a mover and a seconder on this one? John?
Oh, there we are. Thank you. I get this right now. It meets the 4 tests. The minor variance request meets the intent of the provincial planning statement. The Oak Ridge Marine Conservation Plan, Northumberland County and Township of Hamilton's official plans, and the township's zoning bylaw. Agencies offered no objections. No public comments were received.
John, with that summary, I presume you're also making the motion to approve? Okay, so it's been moved by John. We have his reasons. Do we have a seconder to the motion? Bruce? And, okay, that's passed. And we're all good with the conditions and the reasons that's been verbalized already. No, we've got things out of order. We want to stay with that theory for a second here. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. That's the end of our minor variances. We're moving on to the one consent application. And we're ready for the planning report, if you would, please, Jennifer.
Through you, Chairman Gibb. This is consent application B08 B01, I just got something, B0826. It applies to a property located in part of lot 25 concessions. Lot 18 concession 6. I apologize. I have a incorrect geographic reference in my report. The application is located at 4045 Bowman Road. It's owned by 40 Creek Farms, and the purpose of the application is a severance of a surplus farm dwelling. The property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine, and the applicants are proposing to sever off a 1.15 hectare parcel of land at the intersection of Bowman Road and McBride Road. The severed parcel contains an existing single detached dwelling. The dwelling is not required by the owner who farms in the township and owns multiple farm properties. In keeping with the requirements of the provincial planning statement, the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan, the county official plan, and the township official plan, the retained parcel will have to be rezoned to prohibit residential development. The severed parcel will be rezoned to recognize the residents on the property. The property is approximately 23 hectares, and it's located on the Oak Ridges Moraine in the north central area of the property. Has frontage on both McBride and Bowman's Road. It's developed with a single detached dwelling and a small unoccupied livestock barn. The barn and the dwelling are going to go on the severed lot, and the remaining land that is under active agricultural cultivation will be the retained parcel. And the reason the severed lot is 1.15 hectares is because it's the area in the southwest corner of the property that contains the existing dwelling, a bit of a wooded area, and the barn. So it's not under cultivation at this point in time. They're just going to sever off the cultivated lands and sever off the house, and the cultivated lands will all be on the retained property. There is a water course on the property. GRCA has noted the presence of a headwater tributary to the Coburg Creek. The feature hasn't been field verified. It has no impact on the proposed severance. A portion of the property is located within source protection area, a wellhead protection area D for the Camborne Municipal Drinking Water Supply, but a Section 59 notice is not required because it is in wellhead protection area D. So surrounding land uses are predominantly large agricultural properties which are being actively farmed. The provincial planning statement, the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan, the county official plan, and the township official plan all contain policies that allow for the severance of a surplus farm dwelling, provided the retained portion is rezoned to prohibit residential development. The application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, the policies of the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan, the county official plan, and the township's official plan. As I mentioned, the proposed retained parcel will need to be rezoned to prohibit residential development, and the severed lot will be rezoned to rural residential. The application was circulated to the agencies as required. GRCA, Ganaraska Region Conservation, commented that the subject lands are partially within GRCA's regulated area due to the presence of a headwater tributary to the Coburg Creek. In general, they don't support the fragmentation of water course, meaning that we don't usually put property lines through water courses. However, in this instance, GRCA's regulated mapping shows the water course and it would need to be field verified. They had no objection with the proposed severance. Township of Hamilton Building Department had no objection. Township of Hamilton Roads Department and Fire Department had no objection. Northumberland County commented that the application is consistent with the PPS and conforms to the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan and the county official plan. They had no objection. The application was circulated to all registered landowners of land within 60 meters of the property on June the 30th. A sign was posted on June 25th, and no public comments have been received to date. So the recommendation is that the application be approved subject to the conditions contained in the report. The application is consistent with the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan, the provincial planning statement, and the county of Northumberland and Hamilton Township's official plan. I will make one note. One of the conditions is that the applicant shall provide confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the barn on the severed parcel is not located on the municipal road allowance. And that's just because it appears to be close to the property line. And I just want to make sure it's not within the municipal road allowance. I don't require a sketch or a survey from the applicant, just when their surveyor is going out and doing the reference plan that they need to do for the new lot, that they also just provide confirmation about the location of that barn. If it turns out that it is on the municipal road allowance, then they'll need to enter into an encroachment agreement. I don't think it is, but I just like that confirmation. So the recommendation is approval.
Thank you, Jennifer. Just a comment. That water course must have changed a lot since I've been by it the last 150 times in my life. Anyway, spring runoff ditch would be most appropriate in my terminology, and then not in a dry spring. I see that our applicants are with us, and we will certainly provide you an opportunity to provide comment if you so wish in a moment. I'll go to the audience. Is there anyone here other than the applicants in support of the application? Anyone seeking clarification? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, I'll come back to yourselves as applicants. If you wish, you can certainly come to the microphone and provide comment, or you may wish to just answer questions if committee has any. Thank you. Committee members? No questions? Motion? Bruce, support? Mark, second? All those in favor? Carried. Reasons as identified in the report?
Yeah, it's consistent with the provincial planning statement, complies with the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan, maintains the intent of both the county of Northumberland and Township of Hamilton Fishery Fund.
Thank you. Our next item of business is adjournment. 11.1. Prepared motion reads that the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on July 14th, 2026 be adjourned at 3:32 p.m. Mover and a seconder? Bruce? All right. It's all good.